So this is your host, Steve from the back, coming at you again, raw and unscripted as always. So I wanted to tell a story, kind of, and well, I wanted to tell a couple of stories, a couple of kind of like funny stories. So for one, this isn't anything really like anything unusual. Well, kind of unusual, but not like super unusual. So this rusty machete that you can see here, if you can see how rusty this is, right? You can see how dull this is. You could see it appears to be drywall actually on there. Right? You can see how old, weathered, and beat up that it actually is, right? So there's a story behind this whole thing. And it goes into a lot of very very weird places, like that just doesn't really how do I say this? That isn't necessarily the norm, I guess you could say. The norm. Or at least the norm in America, right? In America. So me, I was raised Christian. I feel like this is going to be a long rant, so I apologize. But I guess just to really properly tell stories, you may have to talk more. So just bear with me. So me, I was raised Christian. I was actually raised in a Pentecostal, black, predominantly Christian church. But as time progressed, I actually became, I guess what you could call, some people would say pagan, I guess. But me, I would really more or less call myself someone who was interested in the demons of the Goetia, interested in demonology, and interested in Satanism, and leaning more towards that direction. There were even instances where I had, which I still kind of have an interest in it today, more African religions, voodoo. There's even a thing that they call, I think it's called, maybe, I don't want to butcher the name, but I think it's called Palo Mayumbe. So my thing is this, right? And also on top of all of that, since I've been I'm 34 now, since I was about, I'd say like 18, I started learning and studying various martial arts. So the thing is, basically, the whole concept of, ritual, weapons, self-defense, learning to train with those weapons, learning how to learn, because I'll put it like this: you can even learn skills, even per se. You can actually even learn skills, and the thing is, if you're not taught when and where to apply them, then it's kind of useless. Not useless. Well, it even could be. But there's also, like what I'm saying is, there's a difference between learning facts and things, or learning skills, and then learning how to learn. Someone will say, what do you even mean? Well, it would take I'm not even going to explain what that means, because it would take too long, but listen to what I said. There's a difference between learning facts and learning how to learn, or being taught how to learn. And I'll slightly talk about that. Like, for instance, if someone teaches you how to see patterns, that is somewhat teaching you how to learn. If they're teaching you relativity, like they're teaching you, okay, what are the similarities between this and that, and then what are the differences? Right? So how can you apply what you already know to this and try to make it work? Right? That's kind of the difference. So I hope you like kind of get what I'm saying. And then it's kind of funny. I laugh at it now. And then struggling between like, well, this seems BS. Like, this seems like there's no real power here. There's no real anything that I can tangibly feel is real. There's nothing that I feel like is nothing seems concrete. Everything seems like up in the air. It seems like people that are saying they have these experiences within Christianity, I don't seem like I'm having these spiritual experience. Like, what's going on? There seems like I just don't seem like, if this even is any bit real, I just don't feel like it's for me, because I don't feel any bit like any of these things these people are talking about. And it came to a point to where, just at a certain period of time, I was homeless, and at this time, like, I'll say, the funny thing is, at this time, me and a friend, we would train with these, right? Now, this is kind of as cheap as it gets, really, you guys. This is really what you would call, I jokingly call this a washeti, because this is a Walmart machete, and a cheap one, not a good one. You know, if you want to get a really good quality machete, you will have to go online, and you'll have to pay a little bit. I'm just being real. Machete in general are cheap blades, but they're versatile. They're versatile for a couple reasons. They're versatile because, for one, with just one arm, you can make a pretty good cut with just one arm. There's a little bit of thrusting potential, though thrusting is really not the strong suit by any point, because it's the shape of the blade. It's the way that it's so wide on the bottom, and then as it goes up, you know what I mean, vice versa, but at the tip, they're very wide down here, and then up here, it's basically flat, and there's a flat side. It's not sharp on the other side, so you don't get that dynamic of that pyramid-like pointy shape at the end. So though you can thrust with it, or even like a motion like this, you can somewhat thrust with it, and I guess you could call it an okay thrust. But we know what you really want with a thrust is you really want something that is pointy, sharp, and is going to go very straight through deep what you're trying to thrust at. But what we used to do with these machetes, because they dull so quickly and they're so cheap, which I believe these type of machetes, I believe they're only about maybe $5, if not more, if not $5 and something. So they're cheap as hell. Like, these are like these are like just so cheap. You know what I mean? In terms of any type of blade. So this is like, even if it's not like you're holding one, or you're holding a couple, or you got like 4 or 5 somewhere, because these are for the means of self-defense. Like, for instance, you know, everybody and where it is where there's, you know, homeless people has a knife. Everybody has this. Everybody has that. I've even seen somebody chase somebody with well, not seen, but I heard the thing going on. Somebody was chasing someone through the woods, not really woods, but through like the brush and jumble and the train tracks. They were chasing someone with what was like a small bat, very small aluminum bat, which can do some damage. Like, so it's like, you know, if people have, and hatchets, you know, people have things like that. People steal people's weapons. So my point is this. My point is that, like, it would pay to have, like, let's say, if it's, because generally I was out there by myself, but sometimes I was out there with like 2 other people. So the thing is this, is if they have all of that, then, you know, you may want to just have one of these. And like, the thing is, if you don't dull it, if you keep it sharp and you never use it, it could do some decent damage. You know what I mean? It's still a machete. You know what I mean? So this thing, like if you go out and let's say, or if it's not self-defense or anything, for that reason, let's say you just want to cut some hedges, you just want to chop some stubborn baby trees and stuff like that, or some type of shoots or something like that, this thing will do it. It's just this thing is not a super heavy, thick, good quality one where, you know, how do I say this? I got a runny nose today, so I'm going to apologize, you guys. I apologize. So, what I'm saying about this thing is, okay, I know how to articulate this. If you are really good at cutting things, and I mean you have you have either unnatural strength or you have very high skill. Like I mean to those guys or women who you go out there like the Japanese or something, and you just cut and cut and cut, and you have this cut to where when you get on a path, you're so straight on that path that like because I've seen people cut through things like bamboo and stuff that's like thick layered, and I've seen them do it in such a way where it's like, okay, you can tell they've practiced those cuts so many times to where if they do hit something, it's a very good it's a thrust, sometimes even it's a very good thrust or cut. It's very good. Like it's not like me. See, someone like me, when I actually, like, don't get me wrong, because we used to do this. When I practice simply cutting something, I usually practice a couple of things. I practice going straight through the target as deep as I can. I practice precision, which means I'm trying to hit a specific spot precisely. I don't want to miss. I don't want to hit it off. You know what I'm saying? I want to hit it and I try to use smaller targets. See, that's the thing. I try to use something small, so it makes my ability to be precise better. But I'm not one of those people who focuses on just that power aspect. Like, okay, I'm just gonna, just try to cut through this thing. And I mean, you can do all of that at once. But the thing with my issue with that is this. My issue is, I think, a person, like for instance, when you're training with someone and you're sparring with someone, you're fencing, whatever you're doing, that person does not just stay still. You know what I mean? You have to find clever ways to open them up to try to implement thrusts, cuts. They're always moving. You know what I mean? That's one of the biggest things. Like when I used to train with my friend, I used to always tell him, or like I tried to give him pointers, you know what I mean? Like while we were sparring, while we were training, I tried to give him pointers, like, move this way, make sure your feet are placed that way, make sure that you're not too linear, you get what I'm saying? It's little things like that, because the thing is, a person is, even an untrained person is not, normally, they're going to move, you know what I mean? Or they're going to do one or two things. Usually they're going to either try to move and keep up with you, or they're going to just try to rush you. And by rush you, I mean at that point they and this happens in seconds. I'm telling you, this happens in like seconds. A person may think, well, I don't even know what this guy is really trying to do, because they're not trained enough to realize, like, okay, he's trying to do this specific technique, or he's trying to play this specific type of trope or game. He's specifically trying to use these type of feints and set me up. I get a feel of what he's really going for, because I've also, that's the thing, if you're a person who also trains, you kind of can feel people out, and you kind of realize patterns, body language, movements. While you're sparring or training, you realize, okay, I can kind of see what this guy is trying to do, right? But some people, no, it's not even like that. They're not even and even I'll even say this: someone who is a little bit more skilled, they realize, like, okay, I'm gonna see if this guy can handle a bum rush. Like if this guy can handle, okay, I'm just throwing I don't care if I get hit once. I don't care if I get nicked. I don't care if this was real, if I were to get nicked a little or even get thrusted or stabbed a little. I'm going to rush him, throw all my weight into him, and think that I'm going to somehow like overpower him, out-grapple him. So, you know, in me, that's exactly what I'm waiting for, because I'm thinking is I'm testing you to see how you're going to react. And if you do that, then I'm also going to counteract that. I'm going to, you know, counter adjust. And if I even have to get to a point to where this is like straight up, you know, more of like jiu-jitsu, like Brazilian type of things, like underhooks, overhooks, trying to get collar ties and still trying to, if I even can, retain this this weapon, I'm going to go toe-to-toe with you just like that. Because that's reality. Reality is a person may not care. Okay, it's like, okay, especially if they're fearing for their life, if this is a real situation, like, okay, I got stabbed, I got nicked, I got maybe even cut across the face or eye, I'm bleeding, I can't see. I'm going to try to just rush this guy, tackle him, and take that weapon, right? That's how people really react and think. You know what I mean? So, what I'm saying is, I focus on more of those things when I train with weapons. That's what I more so focus on. I don't focus on this like samurai movie style. You know, some people. I'm just saying, like, you know, sitting there. There's a time and a place for that where you're trying to be super. But the thing is, you're just developing, in my opinion, good habits. And what I mean by good habits is, are you realizing how to readjust your posture, your body, how you are thrusting, whatever it is, whatever type of strike you're doing, in seconds? Can you readjust to a point to where you are marginally at a percentage striking more precise, okay? Because if you're not, then what are you really doing? You're just missing, you know what I mean? You ain't hit nothing. You know what I mean? That's my point. So, like I said, these things can cut shrubs, these things can cut vines, they can cut almost anything. You know what I mean? Like, I'm saying, like, plant matter. They can damage bone. They can obviously cut through certain, you know, flesh and things like that, obviously. But the thing is, these are so easy to dull, and how we used to dull these was just that. Like I said, precision. You know, we would go out and we would cut baby trees, which I feel bad because we cut down so... I feel like it was super illegal too. I feel like we shouldn't have been doing this, but we cut down so many baby trees, it's not even funny. You know what I mean? And we would mostly do that for one, because we wanted to get our precision, our power up, you know. And like I said, your brain is taking in, your muscle memory is taking in all that while you're trying to cut these things. And as the thing gets down smaller, it gets harder for you to actually hit it. That's the funny thing, you know, as you start to whittle this thing down, now it's getting smaller, so even though you may be more fatigued, more tired, you know, your form should be getting sloppier, it's actually getting, you're actually having to be more precise because you're whittling this thing down, it's becoming a smaller target, plus the blade itself is being dulled. You're using it how it's supposed to be used. You know what I mean? Machetes are actually tools for like gardening, cutting through overgrowth. They're not really supposed to be used for weapons, but they can be. And like I was going to say, see, in America, this is not really a thing most people would have. Unless you're gardening, most people aren't walking around with these for self-defense. Though you could, especially depending on where you live, your state laws or whatever, as long as it's concealed or sheathed or whatever. Not really concealed, but just sheathed, you know, so you can't just be having it out willy-nilly. So like I said, I don't think we were supposed to be doing that. But what I was saying was, these things, these are made for mostly like cutting plants and stuff like that, hacking through wood, things like that. And they're very easy to dull. They're so easy to dull. I'm saying these in particular, these brand quality, so cheap. They're very easy to dull. So we used to do that thing as like kind of just like a dulling effect. Like we'd be like, we're gonna spar with these. We're not going to go like crazy heavy, and plus too, I'm going to elaborate more on that. We're going to spar with these, we're going to fence, we're going to train with these, but first we're going to dull them up. We're going to really dull them. Like, we're going to test. The first dulling is basically like a test to see, okay, what can this thing really cut? The real second stage is like, okay, what can this thing endure? You know what I mean? We're going to cut like a lot of things with this, and that will really dull the shit out of it to where literally I can take this thing and lightly go like this, and it ain't doing nothing. You know what I mean? So it's more or less, not saying it's as safe as a training blade, which I do have training blades that are actually made for that, but this was a real machete, but it's dull as hell. At that stage, once we see that it is super, super dull, in that, you know, this thing is kind of a piece of crap, it takes raw force to really cut through anything. Like, it's not really a real cut. It's more of not wild, but a heavy hacking where it takes a lot of effort. And it's not like the blade's doing the work. You're doing all the work at this point. Then we would spar with these. Then we would train with these against each other with these. And another thing I have to say is, now some people will say, well, oh, are you one of those wild hacking guys? No, not by any means necessary. No, I'm not one of those guys. Me, like I said, I'm very technical, very methodical, very, very like a chess player. I'm not one of those guys who's like, you know, you see some people. I'm not trying to be mean either. I'm not trying to knock on people, but I'm gonna just keep it real. Sometimes I've seen videos of people who are into like kendo, Japanese people. One thing I like about these Japanese people is, I'll say this. Often I see women doing this, and I'm thinking, nice. These women are actually training. These women are actually training with men. They're not just like sitting there on their phone doing TikTok. They're actually getting up and actually training. So it's good. It's good. But one thing I see, which I kind of critique a little, is the fact of like, so I see some people and they're very, very linear. And what I mean by that is they're not. Honestly, I'll just be real. The skill just really isn't there. You know what I mean? It's like they're linear. They tend to stay in one. They move back and forth, back and forth. They're not very lateral. They don't seem like they're skilled enough. Actually, I'll just be real. They don't seem like they're skilled enough to understand how to bait people the right way, how to implement feints the right type of way, how to move in multiple directions, or to move portions of their body, because sometimes you just move a little bit out of the way. You get what I'm saying? It's not like you're moving like, it's not like your movement is actually big, broad movements or heavy swings or big, wild open movements. No, your movements are more or less very small and proddy. You know what I mean? It's like it's like I said, it's you using all of the knowledge and skills that you have, but it's like a chess game. It really is. If you understand weapons in that regard, it is like a chess game. It is not just you thinking, oh, this thing is sharp and I can just, no, you know what I mean? Now, like I said, if someone is of a very lower skill level, then maybe you could get away with that. But no, someone like myself, nah, there's no way you're gonna get away with that. There's just no way. You know what I mean? In some of the ways, like I said, I see these Japanese kendo people, some of these people, and I kind of laugh, because I'm thinking like, now don't get me wrong, I've seen some that seem pretty good, but then I've seen some people where I'd laugh because it's funny. It's like, I'm thinking, you do it? Like, what? Really? Like, okay, hey, but you gotta learn. You know what I mean? You got that's the whole thing about martial arts, is you learn. You know what I mean? As you train more, as you learn more, you learn, you get better. You know what I mean? So, but the point I'm trying to make is, no, I'm more of like, if you ever heard of Shastra Vidya, I learned a lot from Shastra Vidya, and I'm much more just as a fighter, that's the way my mind thinks. It's like that. It's like it's very methodical, very smart, like a chess player. It's not a brawler, not a scrapper. No, it's very, very skilled. It's like, no, it's not like that. You know, that's not the way I train either. Like like I said, I do not train because I know this is why I'm like this. It's because I understand the difference. Now with something like this, it's so dull that you're gonna have to work a lot harder. You get what I'm saying? The weapon itself is not gonna do much of the work. Now, if you're talking about like something as small as, like, let's say a little pocket knife or something, a dagger, something like that, something like this that is really, really sharp. For the most part, like I said, when you make your cut or your thrust, that thing does like almost all the work. That's the reason why have you ever picked up a knife, and if it's sharp enough, you could easily cut yourself on it if you're not careful. That's why, because it should if it's sharp, it should go through your flesh like butter. Your bone is a different thing, but it should go through flesh like it's butter. You know what I mean? It really should, to a degree. You know what I mean? There is a degree of like resistance, obviously, there, because it is still a fiber. You know how flesh actually works, but like I said, it's two different things. Like I said, you doing all the work or you doing most of the work, and this thing doing its job is two different things. You shouldn't have to be. The thing is, if the blade is fresh, never been used, you don't use it for anything, it's for self-defense. You may even have a blade identical to it that you train with, or a training blade that is identical, not identical, but similar size and stuff to it that you train with, or even the goddamn marker that you're using to simulate that. Like I said, that blade is going to do its job, and it will do its job. It's scary and sad, but it's the truth. It'll do its job. it will. I mean, that's what they are made for. So there, you get what I'm saying. So that was a thing that we used to do, right? And that type of training is something you preferably would want to do. How am I trying to? Okay, I know how to say this. You would want to do that out in the open, and it depends on what type of training you're doing, because if you're training for restricted spaces, like small, very, 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 very tight quarters, very tight and small, then obviously you're going to want to restrict your space. So you're going to want to put yourself in an area to where it's tight for the sake of training that specific way. But if you're not, like I said, if you're more of like weapon on weapon fencing, I don't care what weapon on weapon it is. It could be even like a spear versus this. It could be anything. It could be literally anything versus something else. You want wide open space for you to be able to move your feet to create distance. You know what I mean? You want that. That can be done in the woods. It can be done in a flat ground. It can be done on sand, in water. It can be done pretty much anywhere. But also, the uneven terrain adds something to it, because it changes the way you move a little bit. It could be icy, it could be slippery. You know what I mean? It changes things. There could be gravel on your feet. It changes a little bit, and that helps you to learn too, because it helps you to readjust and you learn, okay, this is not the same as what I would think it is. This is different. You know what I mean? This makes me have to become sharper and better. It may even help. You may even, how do I say this? You may even implement different types of skills because it is so different that you didn't think you were using. You know what I mean? Because of the way of the terrain or whatever. So that's something we used to do. Now, I was going to tell you about a couple of I mean, I guess you could call this somewhat in the realm of like a gutter type of story or something, because of its nature. A couple of things I wanted to talk about, a couple of things I wanted to kind of comment on. So, man, I feel almost embarrassed about this, because this is gross. This is some stupid shit. So I don't know if you guys have seen a video before of mine, a previous video, earlier video. I talked about the spider that I found. The damn spider is back, man. The spider is back. The spider is back above my bed, like. And I said this. I said, you know what? I'm okay with the spider as long as it doesn't bite me. Okay, I'm fine with it. If it actually bites me, it's not because I really hate the thing that I would want to kill it. It's because I don't know how serious that type of bite could be, and I don't know if I could really. I don't know if I could get to the hospital, and I'm not paying out of my pocket for a damn spider bite, is what I'm trying to say. So I can't be getting bit by spiders. It's not going to happen. Just can't happen, especially if it bites me on my face or near my eye or something, or lip, or I don't know how the tissue reacts to that. I'm not playing around with that. Just saying. So, but I woke up this morning and I felt a burning sensation. I felt just a really forceful, weird sensation. I don't know what it was, and I looked down. I figured something bit me because I'm like, did I get stung? It felt like a bee sting. That's how I'll say it. It really felt like a bee sting. And I've been stung by bees and wasps before, so I know how that feels. But there was nothing there. There was no holes. There was no there was just nothing there that showed anything did something. So I don't know what that was, honestly. But it woke me up, and I should have been up anyway, but I got up like immediately and checked myself after I felt that. But sure enough, this morning the spider was back above, and this has been like days that this thing came back. I think it went out hunting and doing things, and I think that's what it does. I think it leaves a spot and then it hunts. I don't know, you know what I mean? I don't know if all spiders do that, but that spider, a big spider over there, this morning I touched it to see how it would react, and it literally dropped itself all the way from the ceiling down to the mattress and then crawled to the foot of the mattress where it's between the wall and the window, and I can't get in there. I'm like, okay, okay, whatever, okay. The spider is fine. The spider can stay. It's just I just don't want to get bitten by the spider. I've already witnessed it crawl across me while I was laying down, and then realized what was happening. Realized what it was. So I'm thinking, as long as it doesn't have a reason to bite, it's not going to bite me, obviously. So I'll just leave it alone. But I was going to say today, yesterday really it started. So I meant to buy a banana cream pie. I bought a key lime pie, and it was horrific, man. This key lime pie is obviously nearing its expiration date. It tastes like fucking sour ass. I didn't want to drop an F-bomb, but it slipped out. That shit tastes like some. I can't even describe it. It's bitter. It's like. Now I tried to tell myself, and I was lying to myself. I tried to say, maybe this is just how, because I never had key lime pie before. I just haven't never had it. So I was like, maybe this is how it's supposed to taste. Man, that shit, if it's not bad already, it's on its way to being bad. I should have checked the expiration date. Now, this has taught me no more lazy ass bumpkin picking up things from the store type of shit. Now I'm thinking on the realm of, I'm going to check the expiration date before I check anything else, I don't care how lazy I want to be about it, because I can't have this shit. I can't be throwing money down the fucking drain. I literally just threw money down the drain because a fucking key lime pie was sour as fuck, and I know limes and lemons are supposed to taste sour, but when I say sour, I mean like a different type of sour. It was nasty, so, never again. You know what I mean? I may try another pie like that again, but I'm checking the expiration date on it. I tried to lie to myself and say the pie was just trash, and that's why it tastes like that, but it's because it's old. And then the banana cream pie, I was like, no, I have to no. I took banana cream pie out there. The banana cream pie had fucking black mold on it. Fuck, it had this black fuzzy shit on on the crust, on every part of the crust that I could see. Oh, I was like, nah, this one too? Damn. And I looked at the date, And that one was saying that it would be the 1st of next month. So I'm like, oh, this is fucked up, man. I'm like, I can't do it. I'm like, you know what? I'm throwing this shit away, all of it. I'm throwing both pies away. Waste. Money down the fucking drain. That is a fucking waste. That's what happens when you're lazy, man. Just the saying, you know, you want to be fucking lazy? Just throw shit in your cart and go home. Check the expiration date first. I should have known this is common shit. But I'm human, and I make fucking mistakes and have to deal with them. So now I'm dealing with it. So there's other things I'll be eating that is not necessarily as tasty as those pies, but I'll be eating something because I need the calories, and it's not those pies. Those pies are trash. They're going in the fucking garbage. So, you know, that was one thing I wanted to talk. now bear with me. Now this thing I'm going to talk about like now is some dirty, nasty this is some real gutter. This is some gutter shit, man. Some shit that I don't want no parts of. Some shit, I tell you people about this bullshit, that people are on this bullshit out here, but this is how do you say, this is an example, prime example of someone on some bullshit, some closeted bullshit, and then they got caught out, and it was like, that shit could have been a little more ugly, because the way it happened, it could have happened worse, but it didn't. But, okay, I'll tell you the story, right? So, and I'm not going to mention names, because I'm not really that much of an asshole. That would be fucked up. I feel it would be fucked up, actually. Like I said, you always have to choose. Like, should I really do this, or should I just not? So I'm choosing to not mention this person's name. But this person, this individual, I have seen around this area many times, right? Many times. I've seen this person walking. You know, I go to places, they're there, because, you know, like I said, you know people, or you are acquainted with even just a person's name, you know them by face, whatever. So, this person, shit, this happened, was it a year ago? It could have even been a year ago, but I'm going to explain this shit. This is some embarrassing shit, too, to see happen to a person. I'm like, damn, oof. I'm glad that ain't me. Like, I don't have those type of issues. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't have to hide things about who I am like some other people do. You know what I mean? It's just, it's a nice thing to be yourself and not have to fucking like be having some type of double life or some hidden fucking agenda or some hidden sex thing or some shit. So, this is wild, too. This shit is wild. This is wild, bro. So, I was walking down the sidewalk, and, I think I was about to cross the street, and I hear yelling, right? So I'm like, why are these people yelling? You know, they sound like they're, like, seriously yelling. Like, the guy really isn't yelling, but the girl he was with was yelling, right? And I've seen him with this girl before, too, and I'm like, okay, I guess they must be having like a dispute or about something. Maybe somebody cheated or some. You know how you see couples argue about shit, like someone did some shit that someone didn't like, and it was serious, so they're yelling now and maybe threatening to throw the person out or leave them or all types of shit, be anything. And this lady said, see, this guy's like luck is that no one really was around, like. You know, someone can be yelling in this. This is how the street works, right? This is how things work. Someone could be yelling about something, and just because they're yelling does not mean anyone really heard it. Someone next door could have verbally heard the sound, but they did not articulate what the person was actually saying. They just heard yelling. They don't really know what the person was saying. The person could have yelled their pin in the person. No, they may not have heard that. They just hear yelling. So, I'm sure other people heard it, but they probably, like, subconsciously, you're not going to even bother to pick up what the person is saying. You know, you just know there's yelling. So, but I was closer. I was more or less on the same area of the sidewalk, just a little bit further, and, oh my god, this is cringe. This is seriously cringe. This is so cringy, yo. She yelled at this guy and said that he was watching porn of teen boys or some shit. I said, whoa, no, buddy. Whoa. Now, I'll even I'll level with you on that and say, I'll level with you. If that's what you're into, that's fine, okay. Because teen doesn't necessarily mean under 18. Teen doesn't mean under 17. Teen could mean 18, 19. You know. So, but what I have to say about that is, bro, if that's what the fuck you're into, if you're on some shit that fruity, bro, just be yourself. You know, it's like if you're on that type of shit, you shouldn't be with no bitch. If you're on that type of shit, why would you be hiding it from that bitch? See, this is what I mean. This is what I mean about people. I said this before, and I will clown you for it. I'm sorry. I have to clown you for it because, like I always say, I'm of a different mentality. I'm of a different upbringing. I'm of a different way. So I'm not on that like, oh, you know, we'll sympathize with you and it's your feelings, and you know, we're not going to call you out because we don't want you to feel hurt, and we don't want you to feel this and no. Me, I'm more like, hey, newsflash and secret. Us as people out here are who we are, and we're real about our shit, right? There's no confusion. We're not trying to deceive people and shit. So we're not down with that shit. We're not down with you thinking you're gonna be this little conniving, and like someone can say, well, if it's my life, I don't have to tell. You know, you don't have to tell anybody anything. But guess what? I hope you're a really good liar, because you get what I'm saying? It's like I could say, well, I don't want people to know that I have a friggin' I don't know, let's say if I had a goddamn tail, if I had a lizard tail, you're like, I don't want people to know I have a lizard tail. And then one day, you know, you go out you go out in your basketball shorts and the lizard tail's hanging out, and it's like, well, there it is. I mean, I know you didn't want people to know that there's the tail there, but they obviously, it's like someone may know, so now, because you are not Sly Cooper, and because you are not Pink Panther, you are not James Bond, you are not some sly character that is just eludes every single thing that exists. Someone may not actually give a fuck, excuse my French, about anything you're trying to hide, and blow out your whole shit and air you out. Right? That's my point. My point is, at the end of the day, people really don't give a fuck. Unless, like I said, they feel like, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Nah, see, my mentality is, I feel like shit like that is really serious. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean. People can't be, complications, man. It's just like crime. It's just like, it is really just like, it's just like crime. It's like, now, sometimes I say more power to you if you can get away with doing this, that, and the other thing, and you don't get caught. But, bro, the thing is, you're walking a tightrope, so if you get, it's like, there's a heavy chance that you may get caught. You know what I mean? Like, you're doing illegal, shady shit. There is a chance that you will get caught. Because you're not untouchable. That's the thing. You're not untouchable. I'm sorry, but you're not. You're not untouchable. You're not, So you may just have to just be real and out yourself. In, like, literally, you may just literally have to just out yourself and be real. Just be what you are, because I'm not a Christian, and I don't believe in this whole belief of like, oh, what's done in the dark comes to the light. No, someone could do something and get away with it for like years and years and hide something for you, but often, like I said, often, because of percentage, often things that are done in the dark do come to the light by some way or the other, and then you're caught. It's like, oh, you caught doing something like that. Not necessarily didn't say you had any business doing, but that you lied. The whole point is that you were lying and deceptive to someone, and then they caught on to your bullshit because somehow you slipped and did something, and they obviously caught it. And I was laughing at that shit when I walked away. Now I pretended like I didn't hear none of it, but I heard all of it. So, but I was laughing, and internally I was laughing because I was like, this guy really, god damn! I'm like, this is some world star hip hop type shit. I'm like, this guy must have been jacking off, watching porn of fucking teen fucking boys. And this motherfucker was probably watching it on a big screen. He probably was using not even his phone. I bet you it was on a screen. He probably had it blown up on the big screen, like in the living room or some shit. I'm like, damn. hey, like I said, I'm not saying it's wrong that that's what you're into. Nothing's wrong. I'm not saying that's wrong. Nothing's wrong with that. If that's your thing, bro. But what I'm saying is, yo, you should have been up front with that shit from the beginning. You just should have been up front with yourself, and you should have been up front with that woman about that shit, man. Because now you're probably walking on eggshells. You're probably wondering like, oh, is she gonna tell this person? Is she gonna tell that person? You don't even know that Steve right here actually heard the whole conversation and now knows that shit about you and is like, and like every time if I run into you on the street, I'm not gonna say it, but in my head I'm thinking, ew. I'm thinking you probably be looking at me as some type of way in it because you like some shit like that, like, ugh. I don't know, bro. I don't know, man. I'm just saying that shit is nasty, man, and it's messy. That shit is like. I always promote to people to be themselves. I promote that shit. I promote that you should be yourself. You should be real. You should be open about things. You should. Yeah. Hey. But I thought I had to let you guys in on that story, man. So, now I'm going to briefly, because I think I'm going to come to a close. I'm going to briefly talk about the woods, and I'm going to talk about cryptids. You know, the twoods and the tweeds and the bushes and all that stuff. I'm going to talk about that, about how, like, so I did a video before, and I believe I'm going to link it in the description. And on the video, I spoke on how cryptids, I actually believe that cryptids can feel, a lot of them, I feel like they can feel people's vibe. Like, they can pick up on your fear. They may pick up on your positivity that you're trying to radiate towards them. They can pick up on your hatred. They can pick up on a lot of things. And it's a phenomenon. I'll just put it in the realm of phenomenon because it's not something known to science. It's not something that I think we can really explain yet. But I believe this is a real thing. So, I'm just saying now, clearly, when, for instance, like clearly, martial arts for me is about self-protection, self-defense, and it's a hobby, right? It is something I enjoy doing. When I can train something, I enjoy training it. It's a recreational experience, but it is not. I'm not one of those fear-mongering people because, number one, I don't believe that if, like I said this before, if I was out in the woods and some cryptids wanted to take me away and do anything forcefully to me against my will, and maybe I would go missing or die or whatever, it's gonna happen. There is no training that my little human self can have that is going to save me from one of these things out there. I already know that shit. I'm not dumb. You know what I mean? Especially because there's more than one of them. There's like, probably when you see one, there's probably a lot more. I already know that shit. No, this is self-defense in the regard of like fighting off another human being or human beings. You know what I mean? Or an armed person. You know what I mean? Or armed individuals, things like that. It's not like that. I'm not one of those people that believes in like obtaining firearms, training, and then thinking you're gonna bring down or hunt or bring in some cryptid, and you're gonna be some guy in a magazine that he shot this creature and brought it in, and hey, look, I have proof that this is real, and you're gonna have these pictures of you standing over this thing. I'm not that type of person. If that's you, hey, that's your thing, okay. Me, no. It's just like, I talked about this before about like, I like the idea of being out in nature, and I like the idea that you can easily train out in nature with friends. You know what I mean? You can easily do that, and it's not really a thing. You know what I mean? It's very easy to do. It's really very, very easy to do. Sometimes I don't know if it's legal or not, because I don't know if you're supposed to be necessarily doing that, I guess. I really don't know the laws behind that. Like, are you, what are you supposed to be carrying? What are you supposed to have? What are you supposed to have out in, like the open, like in the, in what area are you really supposed to be doing that? I don't know. You know what I mean? But it's as easy as what I used to do with my friend is like either some stuff we could carry on us. Sometimes we could conceal it. Actually, we carried on us, but it was concealed. And then sometimes I would bring a suitcase, and I'd put the tools in the suitcase, and then we'd take the suitcase to a certain place, and we would train there. You know what I mean? So it can be, if you have, if you have a vehicle or something, you take whatever you need that you can fit in the vehicle. You throw it in the vehicle, and then go to whatever location. You preferably want to find a location where there's not a lot of people that frequent there. Not a lot of people that would look and be like, just. Well, we did run into a couple of people one time. Someone did drive because we didn't really have much. We didn't really have much of a choice. When they asked us a couple questions, like, "What are you guys doing?" The guy was like, "Oh, are you guys fencing or whatever?" It was just some shit like that. But no police or anything. But the thing is, like I said, it is very easy to go out in nature and to be able to do these things. So it is a how do I say this? It's a freedom. It's a freedom. You know what I mean? It's something that we have living in America that we can easily just do. And like I said before, when you're going out in these areas, and if you really know, because you may not just think, you may know. Some of you people live in areas where, oh man, like you live in places like Texas, Arkansas, Utah. You live in all these places in Mississippi and stuff like that. And the thing is that you guys know that there's actual cryptids out there. Some of you because you've seen them. I know some of you people have seen them, so you know that they're actually out there. It's not like you think. No, you know they're there. So I would just challenge you that when you go out there, don't go out there with a certain vibe. Don't go out there with the fearful vibes or aggressive vibes. Like you're thinking like, oh yeah, we're gonna kill one of these things. You know what I mean? Or if it comes near us, we're gonna shoot it. We're gonna kill it. We're gonna. What I'm saying is maybe, just maybe, I'm just challenging you to try something new. Try to go out there with the intent that like you want peace between these things. Like you want, if there can be, like you want peace. You're just there to do what you gotta do and enjoy the experience, but you want no harm from them on your people. You don't want to harm them. You know what I mean? You just want to go out there. You just want to go out there and enjoy yourself. And respect and appreciate that their presence is there. So, and you ask that they would appreciate yours, that you're there, and not to to harm anybody or anything like that. So that's the end of the rant. I really I don't want to have any more gutter stories to tell, and I don't really hope that I don't be seeing stuff like this. I cringe every time that I have to tell a story like that. I don't like seeing this stuff in my area or the city I live. I do not like finding things out about people like that. But it happens, man. It happens. So it is what it is. So that's the end of the rant. This is Steve's Art and Fun channel. I'm going to, if you have stories to tell, like if you have your own personal stories to tell, whether they be cryptid zoology stories or anything like that, encounters, paranormal stories, or even if they are some scandalous stories of a sexual nature or of a crime nature, it could even be that you got away with some crimes that you did. You hitting all types of licks or whatever, that type of stuff. You can send in those stories to this channel, and I will tell your story for you. I will tell your story for you, because some of us, we all get a little bit devious and mischievous times. So you may have some stories to tell, and I'll tell the story for you. So once again, this is your host, Steve from the back, coming at you with the RIP thrust all up in your guts again. relentlessly, busting walls out, hitting shit I ain't even supposed to hit. Your host Steve from the back, coming at you raw once again, unscripted. So that's the end of the rant, and have a nice day.